And welcome back to my channel, guys. In this channel, Airbnb short-term renter business, we bring you guys the best topic to learn. More importantly, me and the team take a lot of time taking real facts information that we go through our clients, and we try and portray through our YouTube channel so that people get to understand, obviously, A, what we're doing with our clients, B, how you can potentially maximize opportunity. But lastly, look, if you're an Airbnb host and you want to understand about nightly rates, or you're about to start an Airbnb business and you want to understand and maximize your nightly rate, this is a video for you. So working in the industry for several years now, especially in the UK market, obviously we've worked in Dubai, Australia, Spain, but to know that different markets got different strategies, different pricing technique, different pricing model, length of stay makes a huge difference on the type of nightly rates you charge. We've learned one basic thing, that not every property or not every market should copy each other. It's a basic simple rule, and in today's video I want to sit down and go through some of the stories that I'm going through some of my clients recently, really trying to understand the potential of break-even numbers, how that can potentially lead to understanding what profit you can make on this unit. Or effectively, I've got some clients going, Piers, that unit should make me no less than $2,000 a month, and I'm like, well, actually that's what you want to say, but what the market wants to pay is completely different. And how do we go about testing that alongside clients' requirement? It's been such a fun journey. So look, in this video, let's crack on with some of the basic of what nightly rates is and how it can make a massive impact in your business, nightly rate, because that's something that I've learned over the last 5 years. The more we've sat down in numbers of accounts and we've done work, especially recently working with Adam and Dan, who their model was, Piers, we've got amazing units set up for contractor business. We're connected to Price Labs. They've got some property in Liverpool, and all of a sudden what I'm recognizing in this process is the properties they've gone on a nightly rate basis are on what the end user, which is contractors, the guest, they're not willing to pay that, because Price Labs, what he's doing is going up and down according to the market, which is much more attractive to a short-term rental stay or 2-3 night stay client. But when a contractor wants to book you for a month, they just have a figure in their head, a budget in their head. Now, how do you differentiate what's right for your property and what's the nightly rate and what's the market, what's the market willing to pay? And something I have, going back to what influences your nightly rate, is actually the guest. Is nothing to do with how it looks like, potentially a little bit more, but nothing more than that. Potentially in the location you are, because there's several other units, so you're competing with that. But more importantly, the guest decides what they're willing to pay, and how do you go about actually marketing it to maximize profit. Within this process, I've recognized one thing: the more we research in the industry, the more we work in specific properties in the same location, different types of setup, what I've realized is going back into the break-even number of the property. What it allowed me to do with the break-even number is think about your property with a 4-bed property with a certain amount of rent. Let's call it in this way, in dollars is probably about $1,500 a month. A 2-bed apartment was only $1,000 a month. They're completely different on a nightly or break-even rate. Now, you go back to the basic of what nightly rate the market's charging, it all falls down to the setup you're making or the setup you're doing in this property. Eventually, I found that, when we're looking at the break-even number, it gives me an X amount of your utilities, your bills, and everything you're paying, which then says, on a basic note, I say to my client, what profit do you think this unit's going to make you? Because the reality is, when you first got that unit, or you're about to get that unit, you've got certain numbers in mind based on the research you've done in that property. So it's quite an interesting fact that a lot of time, basic rules is to know what your break-even number is to really understand your variable and your fixed expenses on that property, and then start adding the extra profit. Now, when you have that, all of a sudden what you might find out is you're focusing on a different length of stay of client. Look, if you're on a vacation rental zone and your clients are staying with you 2-3 nights, and you're used to turnover, you've got a good cleaning team, there's a lot more into it, because that all factors into what nightly rate you're going to charge. So when you're looking at a different nightly rate, I will recommend you something. Do 3 different nightly rate research. 1, who's the best property in the market with your competition, what they're charging per night. Have a look at the calendar. Obviously what they show in the calendar isn't the same. Obviously, different people can have different pricing strategy, run different promotion. Look at what the average market is, and also look at what the lowest market rate is on a nightly rate. Then flip it around and think about the length of stay of clients, because you think about it, your length of stay is, if it's 2 nights and you're charging the high nightly rate, yes, you're making some kind of good return on investment. But if you're doing 2 nights and you're on the low end of the market, your property isn't doing that well. But then again, flip side, if your length of stay is longer than 10 days, but then you're on the lower end of the nightly rates, all of a sudden, because of your less expenses of housekeeping team and commission and everything else, you might actually make more. So it's quite an interesting detail thing that I want you guys to sit down. So in this video, wherever you're looking, if you pause this video, open Airbnb and do 2 things. 1, look at the 3 different pricing strategy, and look at what length of stay discount people are offering, because that will give you a different indication of the nightly rates in your potential investment area. Now, recently, working with a lot of different clients, different sizes of client, from 1 property launch to clients with 150 properties, I've recognized one thing, that let's take it back to simple. Your nightly rate isn't the reflection of you making profit. Right, your profit is completely different. I always say to a client, what you charge on a nightly rate is not what the market's willing to pay, and if the market's not willing to pay that number, you could end up being vacant, because you're saying, Piers, that's my nightly rate, that's all my competition charging. But actually, if we go back into basic and go, what's the profit we're going to make, add it all together, divide it by 30 days, find out what that is. Divide it by 20 days and find out what that is, because it's probably 80%, 70% on occupancy rate. So it's quite important to know those numbers in detail, which then reflects on the profit margin you can make. Now look, if you can make more on that process, great, let's do it. But if we can't, let's start focusing on that seasonal difference. You've got high season, you've got low season, and you've got the average that unit can make. So let's focus on getting that average nightly rate, but also focusing on really making sure your properties are getting filled. Guys, just a small tip, if you want to go into, if you're not running Airbnb, obviously you wouldn't be able to see this, but if you are running an Airbnb business, if you go into your insight on Airbnb and look at nightly rates as an option, if you've run your unit for more than a month, it will give you a market indication of nightly rate. Obviously there's different size properties, so you're going to be a little bit confused, but it kind of gives you an average of the nightly rate your potential investment area is charging. So guys, I hope you enjoyed another Grow Airbnb video. I would love you guys to do me a small favor, hit that like and a subscribe button, because look, we're growing our channel, we're going to create some incredible content for you guys in coming days, and please make sure that you come back and watch another Grow Airbnb video.